check, check, check. Cool. I think we're ready to rock. Copy the link. Let everyone know that we're streaming. All right, let's get into it. So I want to go over this track, and I think a cool way to do it would be start with a full-on overview. Cool. All right, so today we're going over this breakdown of production, and I want to start by just organizing my drums, all live tracked. Okay. So we have this like big snare. So snare, I'm sure that was tracked on a secondary. There's the snare bottom, right? So snare bottom, bottom. We have our kick. Let's see what the overheads sound like. That right there. cool. And then what do we got here? Overheads. Just put that up here. And then what else do we have? What is this one doing? This is just that one hit, yeah. What an intense moment. Cool. These guys like to track like that. It's super cool. Where kind of like just dupe over a few sections of the drums. There we go. So we have a shaker. It's like electronic hi-hat, but okay, no worries. Okay, so we got all of our toms. I'm gonna go ahead and just spread them out a little bit for fun. And awesome. Okay, so the drums are making more sense now. And I might even just pull these snares and everything up to the top so I know where they're at. Got it. All right, cool. Today's goal is to go over more of the music theory and the arrangement of producing, not mixing. These are not mixed yet or anything. So yeah, well, I want to like take a look at the relationship between instruments, and the melodic kind of arc and storytelling. So it's really C, G, D, E is the chord progression. And let's see what these keys are doing. how they double up that C tone, and yeah, that's really interesting because that's over the E, and you know, kind of makes total sense, and that's just something that's really nice to listen to if you have your C major, right, and then you have your E major, right? So E major inverted, and you can see on my MIDI monitor right here what I'm kind of doing. So C major, right? And then you have your E minor. Oh, so maybe it's the E minor. That makes more sense. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so got it. Okay. Yeah, I think that was really clever. And it's those little things that I think are super, super important. And people are going to be like, oh, well, the chord's supposed to be E minor, and it sounds more like a C. Yeah. So it's an inverted E minor, but it sounded like a C to me. Interesting. It's even registering as like that C down there. That's funny. Beautiful inversion of that E minor. It's funny that it's registering as a C right there. Whatever. Yeah, so I really like that. And then in this particular section, let's also see what the organ's up to. Wow, that D over the C turns the whole chord structure pretty suspended. I like that. So there's your fifth. G. So the 5. it's 5 root. So 5 root, root, and the E's relationship to the D, because remember it's E minor, I guess would be the 7th. So yeah, the organ's harmonizing in a really cool way right there. I'm gonna just put a note on that. It's really cool. Yeah, so 5th, root, root, 7th organ. Yeah, so when I'm sending over some of these kind of more basic concepts and then having an organ player, you know, jump in and really make sure everything's melding together, you get some really cool extra harmonic tension. Like even the keys are following the bass. I'm sure the guitar he kept the same, so as well. Yeah. So you really just have that organ really taking the top away with the nice forward motion. Oops. That G over the D chord. That's pretty slick. I like that. Okay, so it's going 5th. Interesting there. That's a little different. So that's going already dyslexic about it. 1 second. Yeah, suspended 2. Suspended 2, and then it goes to, I believe, the fifth, right? G's relationship is the fifth. Yep. All right. And then so we're gonna stay on that root. Yep. Root. And then what did I say was the ending? Well, it actually has two different endings, but I mean, that's super beautiful. You know, when we're writing this stuff, we're not thinking sometimes too much about the theory, but it really breaks it down sometimes to figure out what's working super, super well. And I'm focusing heavily on how to bring the last 10% of production to that max level of professionalism, of that orchestral musicality. That it's funny, is it's so important, I feel, to pop music, and orchestrating something that has an arc and tells a story over time, so and can support the melodic structure of the melody of the lyrics and top line. So that's suspended too. Okay. E's. Oh no, that's the seventh. Sorry. E's seventh. Actually, oh, because I'm on the keys, duh. So that's D. Sorry, D. Oh, so it's actually just the root at the end. Okay, E's root. Cool, then the second time around, it's doing... Perfect. Then D's seventh. Cool. That helps me understand. I don't know if you guys are following along, but also I feel like there needs to be more tutorials of this intricate level of why things work and don't work, so that we can get some music rocking. At least in my camp, and the stuff I like. So, and this isn't just country. This is for pop music and everything altogether. Even some of the rap stuff that's done really well has orchestration to it. Anyways, I just want to know what that organ was really doing for sure. I'm assuming that a lot of these extra guitar parts are going to mirror some of that and maybe pedal between different kind of like stepwise motions, and passing tones. But for the most part, that organ is going to be my home base to harmony on top of the main chord progression. And a great way to listen to this too is to just listen to the maybe acoustic guitar and organ, or the keys only and organ. So let's start with the acoustic guitar and organ. It just kind of mesmerizes you the way that works, because right on the down of your next measure, that actually feels like the ending of the organ line, but it's really just the beginning of the next progression measure. So these are ways that kind of like blend everything from stopping to be blocks of just like copy and paste a bunch of stuff over. They could have very easily chosen to not do that. And that would have been easier to know where you are. But that kind of just mesmerizes you a little bit, tricks you, because there's other information in the song, especially lyrics and stuff, that are going to, and drums that are going to let you know where your one is. So I like how that blurs the lines. Anyways, let's go into some guitar and some fun stuff too. But I usually do all my guitar and the bass and the drums and the songwriting in this format, and then I send it over to get like an organ player to do something, or violins or strings, and maybe add some extra guitars or something, add some roll to some basses on some licks. But I want to understand this stuff a little bit more, so I don't have to wait till the end of a song to do this, and maybe I can start bringing that into the beginning of the songwriting. Because knowing that the organ and the progression, the harmony and the progression are gonna be working so well the entire time, I think that would guide a little bit better choices for guitar parts. That's what I'm getting at here. So, big point of this video. Let's listen to all the guitar all together at once. There's no reason to front porch this. So, boom. Maybe we'll throw the keys in too. So yeah, you can even hear some of this organ stuff. I mean, that stuff is all over your EDM, especially 2012 to like 2014, kind of like synth. Diplo obviously did a lot of it in a really unique way, that actually turned into melodies. I'd say him and like Party Favor. Obviously Knife Party, like a ton of people were doing that. But then there was people doing like the chord progression EDM, which was like progressive, obviously progressive house. Let's see, like Dub Vision, Avicii, David Guetta would be a huge one. He would stick to these chord progressions kind of, and he would have the but he'd usually do it with like the bass and the synths all together. This is a little bit, in my opinion, more interesting to hear the harmony breaking out to do some sort of ramp up. And organ players, I mean, to do these, they usually do smash it in a feel. And you'd have to ask them exactly, are they like starting on a particular route? I guess we can analyze it, but G. I mean, I don't know. It's not really even registering on my tuner. G. So that might be G, C. So the fifth, maybe like grab the low 5, went up to the next, which was, I believe, a D. Yeah, D. So your C, C5 up to D. You just get a little bit cooler options, I feel. It's really cool. And to correlate that to EDM and how your reverse swells and stuff like that and tape stops is, I think, important, because I went into EDM 10 years ago not knowing how real instruments work, and I was just like missing sparks of where that can be amazing. So now I'm much better at that. So anyways, not to go all into the EDM side of everything, but let's go ahead and do just a solo of all the guitars without the banjo, so we can kind of decipher what's going on here. There's a lot. Super fun. Nice. We got a right and left rhythm, and they're playing all their different parts. So this rhythm section's kind of doing its own thing with open chords. And some leading tones, while as this is kind of sticking a power chord. Actually, they're kind of doing the same thing. Sorry. Okay, so there's all of our rhythms. Now we know that these are going to be our rhythm tracks. And then let's see what these leads are doing around here. Cool, and then we have our lead lines. To really decipher all the different parts. So these are definitely our diamonds, right? And then we have, yeah, your rhythm leads. Okay, perfect. And then we have licks and stuff like that. So now that all that makes a little bit more sense, let's go back to the keys. Let's just go with keys and let's go with kind of all these like parts, guitar parts. Just let those keys ride. And then maybe the guitar wants to do something. Support it. And you got your motif again. Now, a good place to pay attention to would be the bass to see how that's walking along. See, that's just beautiful orchestration. Here, let's see what that's all about. I'm just gonna go with like AG for the most part. Yeah, so you got your like AG, and then you got your DACE. So I mean, there's a lot of movement right there. All while the chord is holding down that D. And let's just double check, is that a D major? Yeah, so your D major is D, F sharp, A. Now you got D, no F sharp, you got an A, you got C sharp and an E, and you got, you know, your G A. So just the expansion of chord throughout parts is what gets special. And if you don't know what you're doing like I used to, you're just gonna throw a bunch of stuff in that feels pretty good, but and could mask what good is. And sometimes you'll get it right, but sometimes you'll also find some clash, and you might not even know about the clash until like 30 tracks later, and then that's where it starts getting super just convoluted unless you really know your bass line and your chords. And then in my case, I'm trying to learn where my main legato long stepwise motion harmonies are going to be, then maybe fill in all the ear candy, and the licks and everything like that. Obviously the bass usually comes first in something like this with me, so like I'll do the bass and then the drums and then the chords. So doing a lick on the bass also will inform, and that's pretty easy because it's the bass. You only have one instrument, so I'm not afraid to do licks on the bass. It's all this extra guitar stuff or keys and organ licks that start going like, okay, like is that working with whatever lick is under that in the bass, or is it working with the chord? And sometimes it just feels right and I don't even pay attention to that, but then I go through days where I'm actually like, oh, let's actually relearn my own songs just like an artist would, and find new ways to look at them rather than just a full feeling. So that said, yeah, some really cool movement in the bass. Let's put these guitars back in. Maybe this time we'll do just the rhythm guitars. Bass rhythms are just beautiful. What's that over? So you got your 5 root sus2 7th. 5 root sus2 7th. Love it. 5-2. Jeez. 5-2. 5 root 2 sus and then 7th. There we go. And then that time they go down to the B. Okay. So instead of the 2 sus, that's going to be a B, which let's find out what that correlates to for the chord. Okay, so still on that D, so that would be like a 6th. Yeah, interesting. So I would call the B B 6th. Also, I'm doing all of this in oh wait, well, oh shoot. Well, hold on. I guess I'm going off of the chord number. So yeah, that's fine. I'm not really talking in key. I'm talking in each chord's key. That's important to know. So if we're in whatever key we're in, I think it's a minor C major, but like, oh wait, no, it's not because there's an F sharp in there. Whatever key we're in, ultimately that's one thing, but then you have different chords, and each chord implies a key in its own right. So that's what I'm kind of talking about with the sixth here. I don't know if the B is the sixth of the actual scale of the root of the key of the song right now, and I could probably figure that out real quickly just because now I'm curious. So one second, let me find the actual file of this song, and then maybe we can move from there. Oh, E minor, got it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if that's the case, if we're going to call that this whole thing in E minor, what we're going to go ahead and do next would be find out where the B is in the E minor scale. And I might want to show my screen again for that. So E minor scale, images, go back here, display on. Okay. So that B is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's the fifth of the E minor scale. But it's the sixth of the chord / root scale D. And I believe that would be D major. So, yeah, the seventh of the minor. So, anyways, that's getting way too deep, and God bless the people that could figure all that stuff out in their heads because they've done this for years and years and years. I kind of just play around with the vibe, as you could see, and then hire a great musician to run licks or make sure that everything's just super super tight, and or doing something super super interesting in a instrument that I'm not maybe the best at. So and then you just go through and just like check, just make sure that everything's lining up. Like if that's then maybe this should be a D. And then obviously this should be a D. So it's like it's important. It's important, especially for people who are getting into this as knob turners and mixers, which is fine. That's how I did it. And but at a certain point, if you're gonna level up and you're gonna be like holding artists' careers in your hands, you're gonna need to make sure you can actually orchestrate and arrange. And that's a huge high level. That's like, I mean, straight up like Beethoven and stuff like that. And you got all your guys like Brian Wilson and stuff like that. And even some of them, Phil Spector and all those guys, like they learned from the musicians that they hired to teach them how to arrange and orchestrate, because they were all jazz musicians, and jazz was built off of kind of the aftermath of orchestral music. So I'm finally just kind of really understanding where the orchestral music, classical music, and the jazz music fit into pop, because it's there. It's just diluted in your audible frontward notation of what's going on in a pop song. So you have your kind of bass line and roots going with 4 chords, or whatever it might be. Some stuff's more intricate than others, but it ain't as intricate as jazz and orchestral flourishes, trills, and all sorts of things. So you can almost argue to a degree sometimes the orchestral classical stuff is actually really just like a couple notes and chords, not really chords, but notes. That's neither here nor there. There's a place for it inside the pop music, and it's in the arrangement orchestration of parts that might not be the most forward facing. And when a lot of people come to me also and ask like, how do I get my song to sound more like kind of full, finished and mixed and mastered and just right, it's like so many times, and this was me too for a while, I'd be like, oh, the mix is wrong, the mix is wrong, the mix is wrong, there's not enough high end and stuff. It's like more times than not, me and other people, you'll find that there's not high end orchestration going on. There's the chords, and then you boost an EQ to get something going on up in the higher, 5K or something like that, even 10K and stuff. It's like you could do that with counter melodies or harmony parts with strings or high guitars and stuff. Like, let's actually look at some of this high guitar right here. Where is this? So that's rooted at really around 400 hertz, but if you actually look at the energy, the highs of this, you got this nice little peak going on at 5K, like I said. And some people, to get that 5K boost, will honestly just take their track right here and be like, now I got my high end, right? Because there's your part. You feel like you're listening to the song and you want it to be so now I got that high end, right? Because I boosted it. Well, that's one way to do it if you want to, but the other way to do it is to literally just add a high part. Right? Listen without it. With it. And I didn't use an EQ to get that. And if I were to use an EQ to get that, it would sound different. I mean, it's there, but I want more of it. And if I push it too high, I'm going to start, it's going to sound ridiculous and it's going to be piercing and just, that ain't what I want. What I want is no EQ on the guitar, but a new part that's an octave higher. I had an EQ on the high end, but like, again, without the highs. With the highs. And if I want more, now I have more control because I have a whole new part to work with, and I might actually put this EQ on the highs because I just want it more present. But the lows don't have their EQ on it. Those are just raw and meaty and warm. Anyways, I don't know. I can only tell you so much. That's like the most easy way to look at orchestrating more energy, because it's octaves, it's not even harms. So, but anyways, I'm really happy with this. I'm really happy with how the things I got back with the keys and the organ really helped a lot, and the bass was replayed in a way that it gave some more licks that I don't know if I even anticipated and told them about, or they just kind of like went in and did it. When it's right, it's right. I kind of forget about the rest. Yeah, and then we'll do drums maybe in a separate video, but I will say that's essentially also what's going on with the snares of the chorus, right? Instead of taking the snare drum and adding a bunch of processing and trying to get it to snap and pop more, they were just like, no, that's where the drums are. But we want to know where that snare is, so let's add another layer of a whole different snare and just add it in. And that's what I'll be doing as well for the kick, because I will admit I'm going to want a sample kick that's more forward facing than the live kick. And you'll see where when I modernize these drums, I'm going to use samples to be louder. And then the drum set is going to turn into basically air and depth. And the whole entire drum set is basically going to be treated as overheads ultimately. And the samples are going to be my hits. So, but we'll get into all of that on the next video. I hope this was helpful. Again, we're going over a contemporary pop country track, and I'm trying to do it in a way that you're actually in the studio learning from somebody actually making the music, rather than the new way of tutorials or just nonstop, just like, check out what I did here, and I used an EQ, and I used this plugin, and this, that, and the other, and then you just jump cut to the next thing, and then I did this part and this part and this part, and that's all good and stuff, but it doesn't show you how to actually sit down and actively listen to music and analyze and mute things and unsolo them and see how they work together. Talk about the theory, not just the part. And this is what I went through for years, hanging out with people like Darkchild and at all the label sessions and these great mentors of mine. And just sitting there for 6, 7, 8 hours listening to a bunch of great musicians put something together. I wish I would have asked more questions, to be honest. And I was always a little afraid to, because I knew my part was more so just like mixing and this, that, and the other at the time, until I started doing more of the actual music and the songwriting and stuff. But man, some of those sessions, I really wish I was just like, hey, dude, so what are you doing on the guitar? Like, can you just explain the theory real quick? I'm sure they would have said yes. And I would have learned this stuff way faster than doing it all on my own. That said, that's what we're trying to do here. I'm trying to put you in the position of you're actually inside a session, and greatness is either been made and we're analyzing it, or being made in real time, because I just can't bring myself to do what everybody else is doing, which is just putting little snippets and not the full story of a song and saying, oh, this is my production tutorial. It's like, that's your production commercial, in my opinion. And those are good too. Don't get me wrong. Like, if it helps you, that's great. It's just not what I'm doing. So let's just put that there. Production commercial doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I learned from production commercials with a lot of like sound design for dubstep. So like, I'm not going to sit there and watch like an 8-hour video of Skrillex working. Actually, I probably might, but for the most part, you want that stuff. That stuff is given more in like doses of just the synthesis or the drums. I know some people do full tutorials, but I haven't seen any that are like outstanding. So anyways, now I'm just starting to ramble. So I'm out of here. I think I did the thing. We'll do drums next.